Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing wonderfully. I'm feeling great as the summer is approaching. Today, we're actually going to be reviewing all of the skills that we've covered so far. Okay, the purpose of this is for you to have a clear idea about everything that we've covered, since next week we're probably going to have the post test, the same test that we had at the beginning in August, okay? Well, not in August, but whenever we did start. I think it was October actually. All right, so I'm kind of gonna go starting from last week, which is when we discussed author's purpose. So as you know, author's purpose can be remembered as PI: persuade, inform, and entertain. Persuade is when the author is trying to get you to do or feel a certain way, trying to convince you, in other words. Inform is when the author is giving facts, directions, or information. Here, you do not include your opinion. And then entertain is when the author is telling a story to make you feel a certain way. It doesn't necessarily have to be funny. Some people have that misconception. It's just not meant to convince, and it's not meant to inform on a specific subject or share information. It's meant to give you a narrative that makes you feel a certain way. Okay, so if you still don't remember very well these topics, remember that all the videos are on the YouTube page and all the classes are on the Remind page. And I'm also available to answer any questions, okay? So I'm going to go a little fast over this because it's just a review, but anything that you don't understand very well, remember you can always just go back to previous videos. All right, so having reviewed author's purpose, I'm just going to give you this one example, a short story. What kind of author's purpose would a short story be? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. There's going to be 5 exercises total. I would rather you maybe create a Word document where you write exercise number 1, answer, exercise number 2, and the answer, exercise number 3, and so on and so forth, okay? You could also just send me individual messages. I'm not going to mind, but I'm just giving you a heads up that there are a total of 5 exercises that you're going to have to complete. So maybe it would be best to just write all the answers together in one piece of paper and then send that to me. Okay, so exercise number 1, I just want you to tell me if a short story is an example of persuade, inform, or entertain, which would be the author's purpose. With that in mind, I want to go on to the next topic that I want to review, which is story elements. This is what we discussed in the first class this semester. I'm going to go over it briefly. We talked about the main idea, which is what the text is about. We talked about details, which is the evidence that supports the main idea. We talked about theme, which is the central message, what the author wants you to learn or know, a broad idea about life, usually not stated, must be inferred, so it's not explicitly found on the text. In the PowerPoint that we discussed story elements in, there were many examples of different themes that are often included. A narrative can have more than one theme, depending on the length. So if you have more questions, you can always go back to that video. The story elements. We have character. Those are the individuals that the story is about. Could be people, could be animals. Usually we're going to have a protagonist, which is the main character, and an antagonist, which is the force that goes against the protagonist. We're going to have a setting, which includes not only the place, but also the time the story is set in. We're going to have a conflict. It can be person versus person. Two people have an issue between themselves, between each other. Person versus self, which is when a person has an internal issue with themselves in the story. It's not a problem that they have with anybody else. Person versus nature, for example, hurricane, an earthquake. Person versus society, which is when one person is going against a group of people who have similar beliefs. We also have person versus technology, like for example, iRobot or issues with internet, cell phones, that sort of thing. Those are person versus technology. There's a few more, but I'm just gonna keep it with those five. There's also like person versus supernatural, but I'm just gonna keep those main five for the conflict. Point of view is how the perspective in which the story is told, if it's told in first person, second person, or third person. First person is I, me, I woke up this morning and ate a sandwich. Second person is you woke up this morning and ate a sandwich, kind of like the narrator is talking to the reader. And then third person is an outsider looking in. She woke up this morning and ate a sandwich, or she, he, they, it, just somebody observing what is happening. And then over here we have the plot. We talked about the plot structure, how it starts with the introduction, then it goes up in the rising action, gets to the climax, then it's the falling action, and then the resolution. Okay, so usually every story will go through all of these elements of the plot structure. Okay. All right, so having discussed these elements, I want to watch a video about a story by Kate Chopin called The Story of an Hour. This video, I did not make it. I looked for it on YouTube and I wasn't able to find it, but I did download it from YouTube about 2 years ago maybe. The names of the people who created it are credited at the end. So we're just gonna watch this video instead of just reading the story. Pay close attention to what is happening because you are going to have to answer several questions about the story elements and also reading comprehension questions about the story. Okay, so try to pay attention to what is happening to Louise Mallard in this story.
Richard! Good heavens, what's happened to you?
Keep your voice down. I don't want to disturb Louise. I've received terrible news about Brentley, and I'm concerned about how she'll take it.
What's happened?
We've received word in the newsroom of a railroad disaster. Brentley Mallard was among those killed in the incident.
Oh my goodness. Are you absolutely certain?
I wouldn't come if I wasn't.
However will we tell Louise? With the condition that she's in, the news of her husband's death could stop her heart.
It would probably be best if you told her. A sister's bond can be quite calming, and with her heart in the state it's in...
I suppose you're right. It would be best if you'd be here. We wouldn't want to overwhelm her.
I thought I heard voices. Richards, what a pleasant surprise. What brings you here this morning?
I'm afraid... well, perhaps it's best if you sit.
Is something wrong?
Louise, this is difficult for me to say.
What is it? Has something happened?
Yes. Something has happened to Brentley.
Brentley?
Yes, there was an accident with the railroad and Brentley... well, Brentley's not very well at the moment.
Well, what's wrong with him?
He's no longer with us. I'm afraid he's passed.
Do you need anything from us?
No, thank you. I wish to be alone.
Are you sure that's a wise thing? After such a shock?
Yes. I'm certain. As a matter of fact, I insist. Free. Free. Body and soul free! Louise, open the door. I beg you, open the door. You'll make yourself ill. What are you doing, Louise? Open the door. Go away. I'm not making myself ill. I pray I live a long life. Now that I'm free to live it.
Call a doctor. What was it?
Heart disease. The joy that kills.
Alright, so that's it. That's the video of the story of an hour. Like I said, I did not make this video. I found it on YouTube, but I couldn't find it now. I found it 2 years ago. Alright, so here's exercise number 2. Identify the story elements. First, I want you to tell me who were the characters in this story. Okay? There were 5 characters. Okay? There were 5 characters, so I'm going to give you that hint. Try to identify the names of these 5 characters. Number 2, what was the setting? The place and time where the story was set. Number 3, what was the conflict and what type of conflict is it? Person versus self versus society versus nature versus technology. Number 4, what was the point of view? Did it seem like the story was being told in first person, second person, or third person? Once you're done with those, I want you to tell me your favorite color on Remind, just to make sure that you're here, you're listening, and also that you're understanding everything so far. So if you've gotten to this point, tell me what your favorite color is on Remind. Exercise number 3, these are reading comprehension questions. My suggestion would be to pause the video here, write the number and the answer. You don't need to write anything else, just number 1 and the word that would go here. Do the same for exercises 3 through 7, just the number and the word that would answer the question. Do the same for exercises 8 through 11, the number followed by the word that would fill this blank here to answer each of the questions. Each of these are taken straight from the story to kind of help you out with the answers. All right, let's move on from story elements to phrases. That's another topic that we discussed this semester. We talked about noun phrases, which are groups of words that function like a noun. For example, a cute puppy was just born, where we are talking about a cute puppy. Verb phrases, which is a unit consisting of an auxiliary or helping verb preceding the main verb. For example, the boy was hugging the dog. Here, was hugging, was is an auxiliary, and hugging is the main verb. Infinitive phrases, a group of words that uses an infinitive, the word to, plus a verb. For example, I want to eat pizza. Not to be confused, sometimes to is being used as a preposition, so only if it's followed by a verb is it an infinitive. Adjectival phrase, a group of words headed by an adjective that modifies a noun or pronoun. For example, this pie is very delicious, modifying the pie. And finally, prepositional phrase, a group of words consisting of a preposition, its object, and any words that modify the object. For example, that planet is across the sun. In this case, the preposition is across, and it's modifying the sun. Okay, sun would be the object, and then we have the article the. If you have questions about these phrases, we did cover this in two separate classes, so you can go back to those 2 videos for reference. Here's exercise number 4. I want you to identify the following phrases as noun, verb, infinitive, adjective phrases, or prepositional phrases. Here are the 3 sentences. Only the phrase underlined. Some of them have more than one phrase, but I want you to just identify the phrase underlined. Again, only write the number and the answer. Number 1, and then tell me if it's a noun phrase, a verb phrase, an infinitive phrase, whatever it is. Was kneeling. The same for number 2 for this phrase. The same for number 3 for this phrase. Here we have, this should be 4. Please write this one as 4 and this one as 5. As you saw, this was exercise 1, 2, 3, and this should be 4 and number 5. Okay, so 4 and 5. And then the final exercise, I want you to rewrite the ending of the story. This ending was pretty tragic, what would you have liked to happen instead? Write the ending that you would have preferred and then send it to me on Remind. Okay? So kind of to review everything, there are 5 exercises that you have to send me the answers to on Remind. Okay, make sure that you carefully watch this video so you can answer all 5 exercises. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. I am there from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay? All right, happy Saturday, everybody. Bye.